women's lecture series of the World Affairs Councils of America. I first got to know Dr. Nina Ansari in 2015 when her book, The Jewels of Allah, came out. She had a second book, Anonymous as a Woman, which we featured also on Cover to Cover. And over the course of these 7 years, Nina has become a true friend as well, and a supporter of this series that we're grateful for. Her work as not only an Iranian-American historian and author goes beyond that, because she's a UN champion, a UN women's champion for global innovation, and she comes to us with a PhD in Columbia University and all kinds of knowledge to boot. Masih Alinejad is a prominent voice for women's rights and empowerment. She's ubiquitous these days, and she foresaw what we are seeing in Iran. Her 2018 memoir, which followed a career in journalism and documenting the human rights abuses in Iran for men and women. But she is a writer of The Wind in My Hair. I used to know something about that a long time ago, and I couldn't have foreseen this, but she foresaw a global movement. And Masih, it is such a pleasure to have you here with us today for this important session. Nina, thank you for bringing it to us. We're going to show a short video.
My name is Masih Alinejad. I'm an Iranian journalist, activist, and a troublemaker for the oppressors.
When Masih Alinejad first heard the news of the attack on author Salman Rushdie, she had more reason than most to be concerned. An Iranian-born journalist and women's rights activist, she too has been hunted by the Iranian regime.
You can see my picture in Friday Prayer everywhere being hanged. So basically, yes, I can go back, but definitely I'll be executed. My window is my social media. The mullahs are watching me and watching millions of women like me who are talking to them and telling them that we're not going to obey the barbaric laws of the Islamic Republic.
And police say has been arrested near the Brooklyn home of an Iranian-American journalist. Police say he was heavily armed. Journalist and activist Masih Alinejad posted the video to Twitter yesterday, saying the man was at her home to kill her. She was targeted in an alleged kidnapping plot last year after speaking out against the Iranian regime.
Described by the New York Times as the woman whose hair frightens Iran, she founded a campaign against the compulsory hijab, which became the largest civil disobedience campaign in the country's history.
Hijab is the most visible symbol of oppression against women. Of course, some women want to wear it, which is beautiful if it's your own choice.
Some women protesting against religious edicts by cutting their hair in public and burning their hijab, all in reaction to the death of a 22-year-old Mahsa Amini, who died in custody of the religious police.
Mothers, fathers, they relate to her story. They say that it could have happened to their daughters, and they are right.
She remains now a leader of the revolt against the Iranian dictatorship that has led to widespread protests over the death of Mahsa Amini, who was arrested by the morality police because they said her hijab did not cover every hair on her head.
If you don't cover yourself, you receive lashes. You go to jail. You won't be able to get a job. You won't be able to exist, to live in your own country. Enough is enough. We want an end to this regime. Women have been pushing back compulsory hijab laws and all the anti-women laws in Iran. But this is the time that the movement gaining momentum. This is a women revolution. They are the warriors in the middle of the street, pushing back Taliban, pushing back the Islamic
not used to it. Thank you. I'm used to get curse, nasty messages, death threats every day. Thank you so much. That was such a beautiful welcome. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Masih, well, last time you and I spoke was in Washington, D.C. in 2018. You had just published your stunning memoir, The Wind in My Hair. And here we are.
Yeah, now it's not the wind, it's the storm in our hair.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to, first of all, thank you for being here. It's an honor to have you. It's an honor to even know you and have had the pleasure of working with you several times over the last 8-9 years. Masih, what is happening in Iran today, I don't think I need to explain to anyone. We are day 61 of protests, which has turned into a revolution. And what you have been stressing, and I would like to stress in this room, is that we need to acknowledge that it is a revolution, a full-blown revolution. And countless people have lost their lives, have sacrificed. To date, over 15,000 protesters have been arrested and condemned to death. Over 350 people have been killed, including more than 53 children, the youngest being 7 years of age. And these are just the numbers that we know of. Numbers are more than likely to be higher. Masih, you met with President Macron in Paris, and you took with you a number of prominent exiled women's rights activists. This was last week, in order to talk about Iran and say what is happening is a revolution, and to discuss that President Macron should be meeting not with Islamic Republic officials, but with delegations of opposition groups, correct? Yeah. And President Macron hailed what is going on in Iran as a revolution, but what I wanted to stress is that this is the first women-led revolution of our time, and it's happening in Iran.
Yes.
Okay.
I have to say the reason actually I made President Macron to recognize the uprising as it is, a revolution led by women, was because I saw a picture of him right after the brutal death of Mahsa Amini, that he was shaking the hand of Ebrahim Raisi. I know that many of you press, international community, you call Ebrahim Raisi president, but actually I'm here to ask you to stop giving democratic titles to butchers like Ebrahim Raisi, like Putin. These are not presidents. These are not representing Iran. But President Macron actually explained to me and the delegation that France is all about diplomacy. As the head of the state, I had to shake hands, I had to negotiate, but I actually reminded him that France is also about revolution. France has so much respect for revolutionary thoughts, revolutionary ideas. And I asked him to look at my face, to look at the face of a young woman that I invited with me. I took her with me. Her name is Roya, and her mother got killed recently just because of taking to the streets in Kermanshah. And I said to President Macron, look at her face and tell me that you shared the ideas with us or those you shake hands, the killers, the butchers. And this is the first time that a revolution taking place in the world, which is a historical moment, by women. You want to stand in the right side of the history or in the wrong side of the history. And that's why he is the first leader of the G7, the democratic countries, G7, and recognizes the revolution. But this is the smallest step. We need action. We need action. We need actually the democratic countries, which I was very clear. I don't want them to save us, but I want the leaders of democratic countries to stop saving the Islamic Republic. While Iranian people, young girls, teenagers, manage to shake the regime, I don't want the democratic countries ignore them and bury human rights under nuclear deal. And I don't think this is too much to ask. And this is the time that if they ignore us, they will actually take side, and they're allowing the Islamic Republic to kill more people inside Iran.
Masih, recently, a lot of world leaders have come out in solidarity with Iranian people. A lot of leaders like Canada's Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, Macron, as you mentioned. Germany has been very vocal against Iran. Even the spokesperson had come out and openly condemned Iran in parliament. In fact, the spokesperson for the Norwegian parliament as well made a comment which was drastically different from other prominent spokespeople. He actually said, the Islamic Republic, it's time for you to go.
This is actually what I said to President Macron. I said, it was France brought Khomeini to Iran.
Yes.
It's time to take it back.
Yes, I did hear that. But you know, specifically to say this regime has to go. And I agree this regime has to go. We all agree this regime has to go. A lot of leaders have also said we will halt negotiations for the JCPOA until the violence stops. As an Iranian woman, this really bothers me. And I don't know if you have the same sentiment. I'm assuming you do. Because, you know, that is, again, enabling this regime, meaning we know they're not going to change their behavior. Slew of sanctions, travel bans, as well as other measures, I don't believe has made a difference in altering the regime's behavior. And I wanted to ask you, because the EU and the UK just came out with another bunch of sanctions and targeting.
These are not kind of actions that we're looking for. I want to actually ask a simple question to all of you here. Just imagine it was not Iranian women. If it was women in France, in the United States of America, in the UK, any European countries were being kicked out from a stadium just because of being women, what would have been the reaction of the rest of the world? You tell me. If it was girls, teenagers, getting killed just because of showing their hair, singing, dancing, having a normal life, what would have been the reaction of the rest of the world? The world will get crazy, outraged. I mean, I cannot believe that. For years and years, I have been warning the rest of the world about the danger of morality police. It didn't need for Mahsa Amini, for Jinan, Kurdish girl, 22-year-old, to get killed, for the female politicians around the world to wake up, to understand that this is the time that you have to recognize Iranian women's fight against tyranny. So now, more than 300 people got killed. And we want the leaders of democratic country to recognize the revolution and cut their ties. You know, I see that many female politicians cutting their hair. Solidarity is beautiful, but just cutting your hair is not enough. You have to cut your ties. You have to understand that this is the time you have to recall your ambassadors. You have to kick out all the Islamic Republic diplomats from the West. Otherwise, there is no reason for the Islamic Republic to stop killing people. Why? When they're not being punished, then there is no reason to stop killing people. Let me just give you one example. Here in the United States of America, we don't have Iranian embassy, but there is Iran's interest section. I myself received death threats, and I went there to make an official complaint. Guess what happened? They didn't let me in. They asked me to cover my hair and then go and make an official complaint about my death threats. I said, wait a minute, you're really kidding me. The reason that I received death threats because I am actually resisting to cover my hair. And now you're asking me, cover yourself, and then I didn't, and I practiced my civil disobedience here in the country that you're all familiar with, Rosa Parks, with civil disobedience. What happened? Iranian regime called America Great Satan. For 40 years, the Iranian regime officials here called American the Great Satan to arrest me, to save themselves from an Iranian unveiled woman. So you see, here, even here, they don't allow me to protect my life just because of my hair. So this is not a normal regime. This is ISIS. This is Taliban. The only difference is that They are welcome to United Nations. They're welcome to EU, and they're having business with the Western countries. But now, Iranian women, shoulder to shoulder with men, they're showing you, if you don't get united to stop these terrorists, believe me, the terrorists will get united and they will end democracy, even here in America as well.
Masih, I'm glad you brought up the great Satan. The Islamic Republic has called, Khomeini started this, calling America the great Satan. Just last week, after Iran's parliament, 227 out of 290 members called for death sentences for the 15,000 protesters that were arrested. A few days ago, Zohre Elahian and Mr. Qariabadi embarked on a plane and came to New York City. Came to New York City, why? To participate at the United Nations General Assembly meeting of the Third Committee, whose primary agenda is social and humanitarian matters, as well as human rights, okay? Okay, so, you know, there's a level of hypocrisy here where a country labels America as the great Satan, yet arrives in New York City and is given a platform to participate at the very essence of what they're exactly not practicing. I mean, this country has a legacy of 43 years of egregious human rights violations and an endless list of crimes against humanity with impunity. How do you explain this? How does one explain this? And we're sitting here in America today.
I mean, clearly, you explain it very well, that it is hypocrisy. It is hypocrisy that for years and years, we, the women of Iran, have been pushing the democratic countries to kick out the Islamic Republic from the United Nations top women's body. Can you believe that? Women cannot go to school. I mean, think from the age of 7, girls cannot go to school if they don't cover themselves. Women are not allowed to get a passport without getting permission from their husband. Women are not allowed to travel abroad. Zohre, that actually my friend Nina mentioned, the member of the parliament, who came here to talk about women's rights, she had to get permission from her husband to travel abroad. How ironic. Women are second-class citizens, and women cannot be judge, cannot be president. Believe me, we have so many educated women in Iran, they can run the country better than these backward mullahs. But because they are women, yes, that's true. You just need to open the door of prison. The door of prison. All the educated women, men, powerful leaders are in prison. But the irony is this, that 4 democratic countries voted for Iran, for Islamic Republic, not Iran, for Islamic Republic to have a seat at women's top body at the United Nations.
Masih, that's another thing. There is no transparency. 43 out of 54 countries that sit on the UN Council, Economic and Social Council, voted for Iran in a secret ballot. There's no transparency. We don't know who voted for Iran. Now, this is this body, the UN Commission on the Status of Women, is considered the principal global intergovernmental body specifically dedicated to women's empowerment. When Iran was voted to get a seat on this commission in 2021, it ranked near bottom of the Global Gender Gap Index. It came in at 150 out of 156 countries, not to mention, I find this particularly speaking of hypocrisy. The year prior, the UN Secretary General, and I'm going to quote him, had said about Iran, the situation of human rights in the Islamic Republic remains of serious concern owing to persistent and gross human rights violations, including against women, girls, and minorities. Yet the following year, they've elected Iran, and to this day, 61 days of protest, revolution, and the killing, brutal killing of Mahsa Amini, Iran has yet to be expelled.
Yeah. I mean, it's an insult to all women here that Islamic Republic is in charge to monitor your rights, to monitor women's rights globally. And this is an insult. And I'm going to tell you that if we keep silent, next is going to be Taliban. the democratic country is going to vote for Taliban to monitor human rights globally at the United Nations. To me and millions of women, the Islamic Republic is the great Satan, not America. Let's be proud of ourselves and push the leaders here in America to call its allies to isolate the Islamic Republic the way that they treated ISIS. Look, I'm not pro-war. 2 of my brothers got injured during the war. But this is the narrative of the Islamic Republic. Then when we say isolate Islamic Republic, they say that, oh, okay, so now you're promoting war? This has been actually the narrative that they used against anti-Putin activists. You remember, for years and years, all anti-Putin activists were isolated, being labeled the warmongers. And now war is here in Europe, in the heart of Europe. So that is why I'm telling you now, while we are sitting here, US citizen, British citizen, German citizen, France citizen, Swedish citizen, they are all in prison in Iran. They're being used like bargaining chip to get a deal. But dictators from China to Russia to Iran, across the globe, dictators are more united than democratic countries. This is the time that America should call its allies and get all the democratic countries united to isolate the Islamic Republic, to address the Islamic Republic, Khamenei, the way that they addressed Putin. Because Khamenei is helping Putin, sending drones to Ukraine. It's not just killing Iranian people. Khamenei should be addressed the same way as Putin is being addressed by democratic countries.
Masih, realistically speaking, given that we're dealing with a barbaric regime that we've seen is not averse to killing its entire population in order to ensure its survival, realistically speaking, how is it possible to remove such a regime?
It's very easy. Iranian people are doing it.
Right, but
the only thing is that, honestly, can you believe that the regime said that we're going to execute you, but people come to the street?
Right.
It means the revolution happened in the
correct.
heart of Iranian
but
people.
I understand, but these people are not going to leave so easily. They're not going to abandon their ship so easily, right? You have the IRGC, which today is one of the most powerful entities, okay? How can this regime be dismantled in a way where they will just disappear?
That's a very good question. I believe that Iranian will bring this regime down, whether the West help them, support them, or not. But the thing is, the only thing can help the Islamic Republic to survive, it's the West. Mm-hmm. We have to acknowledge that. During 2009, you all remember that there was a massive protest across Iran. People managed to shake the regime. People were calling Obama to help them. I'm going to actually tell you something which maybe it breaks my heart, but maybe it's funny for you. Obama itself, his name means he is with us. U means he. Ba means with. Ma means us. So people use this in the street calling him, that you either with us or with them. Obama received advice from the lobbyists of the Islamic Republic, from the apologists, saying that if you support Iranian people, you will put them in danger. An Iranian regime will see that as a signal that the green movement being supported by American government. But the Iranian regime do it anyway. So what happened? Obama kept silent. Instead, he was sending a letter, secret letter, to get a nuclear deal from the Islamic Republic. That helped the Islamic Republic to suppress the uprising. So after 13 years, Obama now admitted that it was a huge mistake. So now, again, Biden administration should learn from that lesson, should take a lesson from that experience. This is the time that you have to stand with the people of Iran who actually clearly saying that we want to end the gender apartheid regime. And I want to remind President Biden that he was the one calling the Senate when he was very young, saying that we have to boycott South Africa because of the apartheid. The Islamic Republic is a gender apartheid regime. And we call the Western countries to acknowledge that. yes, you say that the Islamic Republic, the Revolutionary Guards is really strong, but at the same time, when the West put the Revolutionary Guards in the sanction list, they don't even apply their own law. They don't even apply their own sanction policy. Recently, one of the members of Revolutionary Guards was part of Ibrahim Raisi's delegation to come here to the United States of America. So when you put the Revolutionary Guards in the terrorist list, then you have to isolate their relative as well. Many of their relatives are here in the United States of America. This is how a regime can get isolated, not by welcoming their relative or saying that, okay, if we sanction them, then if we isolate them, how are we going to negotiate with them?
Right,
Islamic Republic understand only one language of pressure.
And how is it, I'm asking you along, how is it that their children and grandchildren are attending Ivy League universities here?
It's just unbelievable. Look, those who actually took the American diplomats hostage, the main person, the spokesperson of, I cannot believe that, Masumeh Ebtekar. She was the spokesperson of the students' committee who took American diplomats hostage. And now Masumeh Ebtekar is a regular guest on CNN. She never apologized. She never apologized. And her son is enjoying her luxury life, his luxury life here in America. So in Iran, people go to jail if they, give interview to American media. In Iran, as a child, I was brainwashed. I used to say, death to America, because I had to say. We were told, Nina, you know that, we were told that you have to say death to America as loud as the White House can hear you. But now, their children, their relative of the Ayatollahs are here in America. They're enjoying their luxury life.
By the way, yes, at the meeting of the third committee, a female journalist, Western female journalist, was critical of Mr. Ghariabadi, rightfully so. She was asked to leave.
Yeah.
This is in New York City.
I mean, in New York, I was the target of assassination plot. I was the target of kidnapping plot. But why? Because of giving voice to women. Give me one name of female congresswoman. Give me one name of female congresswoman from left liberals condemning that. That's beyond sad.
Masih, I'm being shown by Bill. We have to go to Q&A, but I have
We
one.
have to ignore men. I saw that as well.
You have, but,
It's a women revolution.
Yeah. But before we go to Q&A, I have one last question. You've made a gazillion powerful statements over the years. Just amazing. The latest one you've said, and I would like everybody here to hear before we go to Q&A, you have said, because you've been threatened many times, the Islamic Republic has sent people to assassinate you, okay? And they have also, subsequent to you meeting President Macron, also made death threats, correct? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you have said it is not scary for me to get shot or killed. You've said what is scary for me is seeing leaders of democratic countries shake the hands of those that kill my people or those who want to kill me.
I mean, it is scary. Isn't that
But
scary?
that is a powerful statement that you're not scared of
No,
being
I'm not
killed.
scared of. I'm not scared
Yeah,
of getting
but
killed.
you're scared. You're more scared of democratic leaders shaking the hands of criminals.
Of criminals who are killing teenagers, schoolgirls in Iran.
8-year-old girl.
Yeah.
8-year-old.
I mean, Nika Shakarami was only 16-year-old. She was leading the uprising by burning her headscarf. You know what I wanted to see here in America? My dream is to see that women in America take to the streets to support their sisters in Iran. Is that too much to ask? Because, Women's March in Iran is bloody. Women's March in Afghanistan is bloody. And I was part of Women's March here in America, chanting my body, my choice. And I want to see that my sisters across the globe, internationally, saying that, yes, when it comes to Taliban and Islamic Republic, my body is my choice as well. Not going to Iran and Afghanistan. Believe me, the US envoy for Afghanistan wore hijab in the West in front of Taliban. Can you believe that? The female politicians wore hijab in front of the Islamic Republic by calling this part of your culture. This is an insult when you call a barbaric law part of my culture. Of course, I'm scared of saying such a word. My dream was come to America, because America is all about freedom of expression. But people telling me, don't talk about compulsory hijab because you're causing Islamophobia. In my country, I got kicked out from everywhere just because of criticizing Islamic laws. As a woman who grew up under Sharia laws, of course I'm scared of Islamism. Of course I'm scared of getting lashes. Of course it's scary for me when I see that my daughters, Nika, Sarina, Tazale, these are getting killed. This is scary when I see that still the leaders of democratic countries saying that, you know, let them deal with it. This is internal matter. It's not. The Islamic Republic imposed war on women. This is a war. And when the leaders of democratic countries, when female politicians here in America, they keep silent or they wear hijab to respect our culture, they're taking side. So that's why I'm calling on all of you. If you have power, call on Michelle Obama. She had a successful campaign called Bring Our Girls Back. You remember? Now our girls are getting killed in Iran and Afghanistan. Call Hillary Clinton. Call AOC. Ilhan Omar. Get united. This is the time that we need International Women's March for women of Iran and Afghanistan who are getting killed. If you don't do that, believe me, the history will judge you.
Thank you.
I mean, not you, the leaders. Not you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was really inspiring and a wonderful conversation. So people in our communities are talking about, and we hosted Reza Aslan recently and talked about these exact issues, and it was a fascinating conversation. People in our own communities are asking, so what's different about what we've seen in the last 15 years? How are these protests different? And just hoping you can give us a little bit of hope.
That's a very good question. This is the first time in the history that large number of women burning their headscarves. This time is not about economy, which is, of course, people are suffering from economic situation. It's not about, like, you know, many times Iranian regime could label any uprising, like 2009, 2019, saying that this is happening because of sanction. No, but this is about the dignity of women. This is about basic rights. This is about a gender apartheid regime. And this make it different. That young generation have nothing to lose. And they're leading this revolution because they want to get rid of a barbaric regime telling them what to drink. People get lashes if they drink water during Ramadan. People get lashes if they show their hair. So this makes it different, and you see that it's not only in Tehran or big cities, it's across the country. Another thing which is make it different, which Nina and I'm sure that many times get goosebumps, the sense of unity that we see among people. But for years and years, Iranian regime were like, Kurds are separatists. But this revolution started from Kurdistan and went, yes, and it went from Kurdistan to Baluchistan. And Kurdish woman, I love your dress. Started from Jinnah. It went to Zahedan, to Baluchistan, everywhere, Tehran. So you see, Islamic Republic tried to divide us. When Iranian regime executed the Kurds, people were like, we are not Kurds. When they executed Arabs, people were like, we're not Arabs. When they executed Baluch, people were like, we're not Baluch. When they executed Turks, the same. But now, when they killed Mahsa Amini, people didn't say that we are not women. People started to say that we are all Mahsa. So that's different. We are united. Athletes,
yes,
actresses, saying that no longer we want to work with the regime. We're not going to be part of normalizing this regime. They joined us, and that makes it different.
Also, one other thing I wanted to add is there's never been a time there has been protest against this regime throughout their rule for 43 years. This time it's different. This is 61 days.
Yes,
This
longest.
is the longest. Also, people are uniformly chanting no to the Islamic Republic, death to the dictator. That is unprecedented. 10-year-old children are chanting this. This is by far the longest time that people have protested despite the violent crackdown.
And that's different because West is all about feminism. West is all about women's rights. They cannot just close their eyes and saying that it's okay when women get killed, but we have to get a nuclear deal. That's different.
Just quickly, I worked for several years with Radio Farda. I just wonder right now, is it effective? Is U.S. international broadcasting doing anything to support or to bring information not only into Iran but to the rest of the world? Is it doing anything that it should be doing?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Is who doing?
Radio Farda and Voice of America, U.S. international broadcasting.
Oh,
yes.
international broadcast.
Does it help, you mean?
Yeah.
Of course. Look, we don't have any media inside Iran. The Iranian regime cut off the internet to prevent the rest of the world to understand the level of the brutality of the regime. And the only thing that the Iranian people are doing, using their social media like their weapon. The Islamic Republic have all the, they have money, guns, bullets, prison. They can execute people. But our weapon is our mobile phone. So when they're sending videos to Radio Farda, to Voice of America, to Iran International, Manototu TV, to all media outside the world. And it's very helpful. That's why the Islamic Republic actually made a law saying that if anyone send videos, the law is about me. Say they said that if anyone sending videos to Masih Alinejad will be charged up to 10 years prison. Can you believe that? But recently they said actually they sanctioned some TV outside Iran as well. That shows you that the Iranian regime is scared of Persian broadcasting outside Iran. I want to actually use this opportunity to say that how ironic I said that our weapon is social media. Khamenei banned 80 million people from using social media. But the tech companies are still allowing these dictators to enjoy freedom of expression on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. This is the time, actually, we have to ask the tech companies to kick out the dictators until the day that the same dictators allow their own people to use social media.
You know, they kick out Donald Trump.
Yes.
But Khamenei is still on Twitter.
People were cheering for Twitter. Oh my God, they kick out Donald Trump.
Right.
But when I actually wrote an article for Washington Post and I said that we have to kick Khamenei, many left and liberal, many human rights activists said that no, Khamenei should be there because we want to know what he says. Wow, we know what he says. He used social media and he ordered killing. You want to know that? I'm telling you, I'm here. That's people say to me that why you're angry. I mean, honestly, it's frustrating that Khamenei used social media to say that women should get killed if they take to the street. We have to eliminate Israel from the map. He ordered the fatwa against Salman Rushdie, but it's still the tech companies allowing him to use Twitter. Right now that we are all sitting here, teenagers are getting killed because of using Twitter and social media, uploading their unveiled videos. But Khamenei is on Twitter. I was in a meeting at Oslo Freedom Forum, and the person who was actually interviewing me said that, Masih, some of the people are here from tech companies, they're here to listen to you. And I said, they're not listening to me, kick them out. Because if you really want to listen to us, kick the dictators out from social media.
You're giving them a voice.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Oh.
Good morning, Ms. Alinejad. Thank you both for your work and joining us.
Can't hear you.
Closer, move closer.
My question for you is, what is your vision for what an Iran post-revolution looks like, both in its government and its civil society?
A lot of people actually try to scare the rest of the world, saying that Iran without the Islamic Republic is going to be like Libya, like Syria. But I want you to look back to our history. Iran is going to be like Germany, like Sweden, like United States of America. We have progressive generation, young generation, and we dream to have a secular democratic country where religious is separated from politics. This is Iran without Islamic Republic can make the whole world a much safer place. So that's why I believe that Iranians are not fighting against the Islamic Republic just to protect themselves. We are protecting democracy from one of the most dangerous regimes, which is called the Islamic Republic. Iran without Islamic Republic is a country where women and men are equal. We're not having morality police. We're not getting kicked out from school just because of our lifestyle. We're not getting tortured just because of being Kurds, being minority. We're not getting executed because of being Baha'i, because of being non-religion, or saying that, you know, I don't want to believe in any kind of religion. This is what we're dreaming, and we're getting there.
And also, you know, not to forget, just to remind, Iran has a highly educated female population. So we're in good hands.
Yes.
Hi. Do this. My name is Nelifar, and I'm from Utah Council for Citizen Diplomacy. I'm originally from Turkey, but my name is Persian. I have a question that's like threefold. You mentioned that you get backlash from when you mention the revolution against the Islamic government, that it kind of promotes Islamophobia. Do you think there's also misinformation between the differentiation between Islam and Islamism? Because there's also a big demographic that in the region that could be inspired by this movement, but the rhetoric against Islamism is kind of misused to kind of deter that audience, and I feel that could be more powerful. My other question would be, is this movement seems to be without a leader or not behind a political party. How do you think this is progressing, especially that is led by women who rose from powerlessness to power? And my last part would be, how do you think the government is using the Kurdish minority issue or discussion to divide this movement? Thank you.
Teşekkür ederim. Okay, I forgot all the three questions.
Well, the first question was Islamism.
Oh, the Islam, yes. Look, I think those who actually try to label us in the name of Islamophobia to silence us, those are the people that they really never had experience to live under Sharia laws. For 8 years, I have been campaigning against compulsory hijab. And you cannot give me one name of female politicians to go to Iran and be as brave as Iranian women and saying that I don't want to cover myself. You think that they don't understand the difference between Islamism and Islam and Islamism? They know. They know that we are talking about compulsion. They know that we are talking about political Islam. They know that we are talking about Islamic regime trying to use actually compulsory hijab to write their own ideology on women's body. They know it, but the thing is that sometimes they don't want to welcome people like me because they see it very controversial, so they stay away from us. Nina knows that for years and years, people have been ignoring the campaign against compulsory hijab in the name of Islamophobia, but now all of them suddenly recognizing this and saying that, yes, we are all for freedom of choice. What I want to say here, I'm coming from a Muslim family. My mom wears hijab. My dream is to walk shoulder to shoulder with my mother in Iran or here in America, that she has her choice to wear it. And I want to be as free as her as well, without getting killed, without getting lashes, without getting jailed. Is it difficult to understand? No, but still, before this revolution, I was under attack by Ilhan Omar, one of the Muslim hijabi women, which I actually wrote an article on Washington Post. I invited her to support our cause. She didn't. You can add, I mean, if you have anything to add.
You know, I grew up with a veiled grandmother, and I was very close to her. And even after the revolution, she was living in Santa Monica, California, and she chose to leave the apartment every day with her veil, okay? That's the difference. If a woman chooses to wear the veil, that's vastly different than a law that mandates a piece of cloth that is punishable by a minimum of 74 lashes, not to mention years and years of imprisonment, and in the case of Mahsa Amini and many other women, even death. So this piece of cloth, okay, is not just a piece of cloth. Okay?
It's the most visible symbol of oppression when it's in the hand of Taliban and Islamic Republic.
Right, but it is punishable by death even. So you can't just look at a piece of cloth lightly and say, you're inciting Islamophobia, okay? That is wrong, and that sends the wrong message, and also sends the wrong message when people who choose to wear the veil decide that we're promoting Islamophobia, which is incorrect. You know, what Masih is advocating is a veil choice. You know, her mother wears a veil, my grandmother wore a veil. We don't have anything against the veil. What we have something against is a regime that mandates a piece of cloth, and there are harsh repercussions for not wearing this piece of cloth. There is a huge difference. Oh, she had a third.
Second question. About the leaders, which is very important for
right,
me.
Yeah.
I mean, believe me, this revolution, yeah, it looks like leaderless, but there are so many brave leaders who got arrested, and they are in prison, and they have been pushing back the boundaries, the barbaric laws, the propaganda for years and years. But Iranian regime knows how to jail leaders, how to actually force them to live in exile, how to assassinate them, how to kill them, and then sell the narrative to the rest of the world that there's no leader. Like, who is going to run the country? As I mentioned, when you open the door of prison, all those political prisoners, believe me, they can run the country. They can manage the country better than these backward mullahs like Ibrahim Raisi, like, you know, Rouhani, like Khamenei. So the movement itself, yes, it's people, grassroots, but there are so many leaders who are in prison, live outside Iran, educated leaders, they can run the country. And I have to say that Hossein Ronaghi, Nasrin Sotoudeh, Narges Mohammadi, Toumaj Salehi, Fatemeh Sepehri, there are many names that the Iranian regime, they put them in jail, and they don't want even the Western media name them because people say that you're going to put their life in danger, but these are the leaders. These are the true leaders of change, not even in Tehran. Across Iran, when you open the doors, there's so many leaders. And people looking to them. When they come to the street, the mothers of those people who got killed, they became the leaders of the revolution. They are in front line. So to me, this movement is not leaderless. We have so many powerful and brave women who are leading this revolution.
Also, Masih, I'm glad you brought up prison. Evin prison right now is not your typical prison. It is an intellectual bastion, okay? So this regime, and I'm glad you brought this up, it's very important because when you talk about prison, it has a different connotation. In Iran, being in prison means you're a force to be reckoned with. It doesn't mean you're a criminal, okay? Actually, the criminals are on the outside, okay?
Yes.
And the intellectuals and the leaders are on the inside. So there's a huge difference when you hear somebody's been incarcerated in Iran. It immediately means the regime sees them as a threat and they have leadership potential. So I'm really, really happy you brought this up because this is something that is often overlooked in media. Oh, Ashiti had a third question?
Well, there is one question, one gentleman.
Oh, thank you. Actually, it kind of goes back to the leadership. You need a leader. You need one person. And it can't be, you're right, it can't be in Iran. Ayatollah Khomeini, I'm not a fan of his, don't misunderstand me. But the Shah was a horror show.
Who?
But he was awful. I mean, he was so corrupt. I'm saying that Ayatollah Khomeini was a leader when he overthrew the Shah in Iran. I'm old enough to remember, this shows how old I am. I remember all this. And I'm saying is you have to have a single leader. You need to unite behind someone. And you're right, they cannot be in Iran. You're right, they'll go right to jail. So is there anyone out there, I haven't seen or heard of anyone who could be like Aung San Suu Kyi or someone like that? Yeah, okay, you're it, okay. Who can you get together like a group of Iranian exiles, Iranian parliament, and elect you?
Iranians are fed up of having one leader. There are so many educated leaders outside Iran now.
You're going to need one to lead the revolution, not to overthrow it.
I know, but the conversation is going on that so many, I don't want to use the word leaders because it scares the society inside Iran as well. We're not making decision for them, but we need a coalition of those actually leading revolution, leading protests outside Iran. We need a coalition to talk to the Western countries, to democratic countries, and ask them to address, you know, the Islamic Republic as a terrorist and gangs of killers. And this is what the conversation is going behind the scene. Many leaders outside Iran, inside Iran, they believe that this is the time that we have to come up with a coalition and talk to the Western countries, to the democratic countries.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to brave women and so many brave women in Iran like you. Appreciate it. And to follow up with the comments that we had recently that they are not using Kurdish people. So what we showed in the history, when the women are in the front line, no matter in Syria, in Turkey, in Iran, in Iraq, we had Kurdish women in front line in Syria. And look at the ISIS. Gone. And look at Iraq, and Kurdish people are practicing their freedom. And we have so many well-educated women, thanks to USA as well as an example. So many reasons that Masih actually mentioned to it, they took me to the jail for long nails, for white coats, for why my hair is out. So that's why I am here. And I'm studying at Harvard University. So the leaders are out there, you know, and but the things that we want, we don't want this time to change the course of the revolution. When Khomeini became to power, we didn't want that. We didn't want this government. No. And the Kurdish people, since the beginning of the revolution, they were against this regime. They were. And they executed us. They killed my brother, 17 years old, just because he was a Kurdish Democrat Party. And every day, Iranian regime sending missiles and drone to Kurdish Democrat Party in Khoi. Just yesterday, killed 2 or 3 people again. Just during this revolution that it started, since this revolution started, you know how many times Iranian regime attacked Kurdish people in Iraq region? That is not acceptable. Iranian regime must go. Iranian regime must go. Must go. Woman, life, freedom. Yes. Woman, life, freedom. Woman, life, freedom. And I am so proud of the women in Iran, in Iraq, in Turkey, all over the world, here in USA. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for bringing, actually, that's very important. When she said woman, life, freedom. This is the slogan, came from Kurdistan. And get back to your question, the Islamic Republic, I mean, used this narrative for years and years and years to divide us. But Jina, a Kurdish woman, made the whole nation united now against the Islamic Republic around one slogan: woman, life, freedom. Jen Jian Azadi.
Bill told me that this is the last question, so yeah, here it goes. Well, as a young woman, I've seen participation of many young people on social media, but we don't get to see videos or other content of older generations participating in the movement, but I'm sure there are. I wanted to know how older generations are helping shape the revolution, and how is this changing the expectations of younger people and how people in Iran are being socially active?
That's a very good question, and I want to actually give you an example. When Sabah Kordafshari, only 20-year-old, got arrested, she received 24 years prison sentence, more than her age. What happened? Her mother took to the street. She took off her hijab and she said, I am the voice of my daughter. When Yasaman Aryani got arrested, she was only 22 years old. She received 16 years prison sentence. Immediately, her mother took to the street and said, I am the voice of my daughter. Now, we see that Nika Shakarami got killed by Iranian regime. Immediately, her mother just made a video of herself saying that I am the voice of my daughter. So you see, this revolution is being led by young generation, but older generation are actually taking the flag of their daughters and saying that in this path, we are together. When the Islamic Republic is in power, none of us have dignity. The daughters and mothers, fathers, men and women, they're all together. I mean, in the West, maybe sometimes people see this for young generation. Of course, it's true, because young generation are brave and they have nothing to lose. They're leading the revolution. But the older generation now is joining us because they understand that when we have a secular democratic country, all of us can have dignity, democracy, and freedom. Thank you so much.
Merci, Masih. Thank you so much.
Don't leave yet, ladies. Just want to say a few words.
Shall we go or wait?